On the outside, Sally and Ray McNeil were a bodybuilding power couple who stood out in a crowd. They were often seen out and about in their tight gym gear, and they were both passionate about intense training and working out hard to grow their muscles. But at home, these two were definitely not a perfect couple, and in fact, they often beat on each other. With a combination of anger, fear, and steroids, this couple was doomed from the start. And on Valentine's Day, 1995, Sally took Ray's life and claimed it as self-defense.
Action.
Hi, I used to be Sergeant McNeil. I was in the Marine Corps for 11 years. Now, I'm just Sally McNeil, civilian. If you're interested in wrestling me personally, just give me a call when you receive the phone number at the end of the video.
Sally McNeil has a tremendous physique, as you can see, and she's married to another bodybuilder, Ray McNeil.
Married to Ray McNeil, who's certainly one of the most muscular pros alive. My stars on the rise.
Hello and welcome back to Crime, Mystery and Mayhem with Kate. If this is your first visit to my channel, hello, welcome. It is great to have you here. Here on my channel, I talk about true crime stories. I find them interesting and I'm intrigued as to why some people do the horrible things that they do. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel because it would really help me in my attempts to grow my channel. I cannot do this without you guys. Okay, so today I will be talking about Sally McNeil, the woman who took her husband's life in what she called self-defense. So let's jump into today's story. After I fix my glasses. There we go. Alright, as a member of the misunderstood subculture of bodybuilding, Sally was seen to be too buff and too strong to be characterized as a battered woman. But the sad reality of it was that Sally was definitely a battered woman. Sally McNeil was born Sally Dempsey on September the 30th, 1960 in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Sally's upbringing was a tough one, and she was exposed to violence so frequently that she began to think it was normal and this is how everyone lives. Sally's dad, Richard Dale Dempsey, was a raging alcoholic, and he would frequently abuse Sally's mum. One day, Sally's mum decided to leave, and she ended up remarrying when Sally was 3 years old. And she also went on to have 2 daughters with her new husband. So these new sisters, half-sisters for Sally, were Judy and Jill. Sally later said that she was definitely made to feel like an outsider at home and that her half-sisters would often get brand new items and she would be given hand-me-downs. She also said that her sisters would get told off if they did something wrong, just a telling off, but she would receive a smack or a hit. Sally was really into sports and she would throw herself into her sports just to kind of, get away from the torment at home. So she threw herself into her sports and she was on the school's swimming, diving, track and field teams. Super busy kid. After school, Sally decided that she wanted to be a gym teacher. So she ended up enrolling at East Stroudsburg State College. She did 3.5 years of study at this college, but sadly she ran out of money and she couldn't fund her education further, which really broke her heart. She did reach out to her parents for help, but they said no. So sadly, Sally had no choice but to drop out of college. After this, she went on to serve in the United States Marine Corps at Camp Pendleton, and she rose to the rank of sergeant. Sally was actually in the Marines for 11 years, quite a long time. While she was in the Marines, she met a man called Anthony Loden, and they eventually got married, and they were married for about 4 years. They also had 2 children together. Anthony was abusive. He was really abusive to her, and she was she had enough. She was being transferred to Camp Pendleton. She decided that this was when she was going to file for divorce, and she ended up winning custody of her two children. She actually had 3 children, but you don't hear much about the third. Apparently when they were doing the custody stuff, one of the kids, the third child, was adopted out, but that's all I know on that one. In the late 80s, Sally won the US Armed Services Physique Championship twice. Then in 1990, she was demoted from her position as sergeant because she had anger issues. Yeah, it was a poor behavioral record. She had anger issues. She was, showing violence, lashing out at others, that kind of thing. Her behavior record also resulted in her being discharged from the military later on. During her service, Sally was really getting into her bodybuilding, and in 1987, she was placed 4th in the Armed Forces Bodybuilding Championships. But there was a huge change coming Sally's way. This was in the form of a new love interest. There was another soldier that was doing competitions in bodybuilding, and this man was called Ray McNeil. Sally was interested, and Ray was interested, and they were introduced by a friend in June of 1987. This was a match made in heaven for the pair. They both loved bodybuilding, and they had a great time together in the beginning. Sally later said that Ray seemed to really like her and that he was impressed by her. But people who knew the couple later said that Sally was more into Ray than he was into her. Don't get me wrong, he loved her. But what I'm saying is she loved him way more. In their downtime, the two loved to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and they saw all the films together. Sally really thought that Ray would be a really awesome stepdad for her 2 kids, and she was hopeful that this was going to be different from her past relationships. Sally's kids actually really loved Ray in the beginning. I think they still loved him at the end, but it was different, not as much. But he was a force, if you know what I mean. He would punish the kids in a physical way. Sally's son John remembers how when Ray would punish one of the kids, the other had to be there as well. So they would watch their sibling get hit. John said that it really affected him when he had to witness his sister Shantina get hit by Ray. Sally and Ray didn't date for very long, a couple of months, and they decided to get married. They only dated for 2 months before they got married. Like, wow, 8 weeks, that's crazy, but I guess some people do that. I got engaged after being with my ex-husband for only 3 months. So yeah. 3 days after their wedding, it said that Ray beat on Sally and choked her. Yeah, that's sad. She was discharged from the military, and Sally began a career wrestling men on video for $300 an hour, earning her nickname Killer Sally. So that nickname came before she actually killed her husband. She was trained by video maker Bill Wick, who was the husband of Kay Baxter. She made enough money to be able to enable Ray to leave the Marines and concentrate on his own bodybuilding career. So for a time, Sally was the only working parent. She supported her whole family by herself, and she was also supporting her husband's career in bodybuilding. In 1990, both Ray and Sally won the Armed Forces Bodybuilding Championships. So Ray went on to leave the Marines in 91 because he wanted to go pro. Ray started using steroids, which Sally blamed for his violent behavior. She would actually even go to Mexico and take her kids with her to buy steroids for Ray, and she would admit that she was not proud of this, and she considered it to be bad parenting, which it is. Later, she said that this was very wrong and she should never have taken her kids with her. During this time, Ray won the heavyweight and overall titles in both the 91 NPC California Championships and the 91 IFBB North American Championships, and competed in the 93 Mr. Olympia competition, placing 15th. That was the same one that Arnie would do, not this exact one, but those were the competitions he did. He also began participating in professional wrestling and did stand-up comedy, performing his material in free shows at the Comedy Club in San Diego. Ray was taking steroids, as we know. This was to help him grow bigger for his bodybuilding competitions, and this made his moods very explosive at times. Sally was also taking steroids, but she said that she wasn't taking the ones with testosterone and that she wasn't taking them as often as Ray. So here we have a couple, two people, both on steroids, living together in a small building with children around. Their kids were young. There was a lot of arguing, physical altercations. It's not a healthy environment for kids. It's just my opinion. The children would actually hide away when the parents were arguing. It would have been absolutely terrifying to be around, these two big bodybuilding people who were arguing all the time and being physical with each other. I can only imagine what the kids went through, honestly. Sally's daughter actually said to her mum one day after she was beaten up by Ray that they don't have to stay with Ray because he isn't their biological father. They can leave. They don't need to stay. They can, clean break. There's no kids involved that are his. But Sally, she loved him, and love can be blind sometimes. Ray ended up working part-time as a bouncer for a bit to make some extra money, and according to his friend Dwayne Jeffers, aka DJ, Ray got into an altercation with another man one night. So while he was working as a bouncer at a nightclub, he got, long story short, Ray fought this guy. He ended up sticking his fingers through the guy's eyes, and it was said that this man is now blind. Really, really horrific. That is some scary, scary stuff. Also, apparently the police didn't even charge him for this because they knew all the bouncers and kind of just saw it as a bouncer dealing with an unruly club goer. So on this night, Ray went home. His hands were, a bit cut up from this fight, and he was absolutely covered in blood. Sally's daughter, Shantina, often waited up for her parents if they were out late, and this particular night, she remembers that Ray came home and he seemed off. At first, Ray didn't notice that she was there, but then she noticed that he was covered in blood. She wanted to know what had happened, and he told her that he had to do what he did because the others were trying to kill him. So I'm not sure that's true. I mean, from what I heard and read, it was a scuffle with a drunk guy that ended in said drunk guy going blind because Ray put his fingers into his eyes. Also, he was a big dude. A drunk person probably wouldn't stand a chance against him. A sober guy wouldn't. And being raged on steroids and an ex-Marine, I just don't feel like the other guy would have won, even if he was sober. Anyway, Shantina helped clean the blood off Ray, and he asked her not to tell her mum, which she didn't. Also, around this time, Ray had been dating another woman. So he was kind of at that point where he was done with his marriage. In a police interview with this other woman after Ray's death, she said that they were actually really in love and they wanted to be together, and he was trying to leave Sally. Ray had actually planned to spend Valentine's Day 1995 with this other woman and not his wife. Ray apparently even told his mate DJ that he would tell Sally that he wanted to end their relationship, but DJ was worried. He said to Ray that he probably shouldn't do that or be careful of where he does this because there's a shotgun in their house and Sally might shoot him. It's almost like DJ knew what was coming. He knew this couple. But apparently when DJ said that to Ray, he just kind of like laughed it off. He didn't believe that Sally would actually shoot him. So Sally found out that Ray was cheating on her, and she actually confronted the other woman. She told her to stay away from her man. Yeah, as we would, right? If we find out that our husband is, you know, going out with another woman, we probably would message her and be like, hey, back off. Apparently this other woman was also a member of their gym, and Sally told her that if she sees her at the gym, she will beat her up. And the other woman later said that she fully believed that Sally would have beat her up. Sally was upset. Any woman would be. This was her husband. This other woman knew that Ray was married to Sally, and this hurt. It would. Sally was actually arrested in 1990 for brandishing a firearm at Loudon and smashing the windows of Ray's car with a metal bar. She was acting out because she was feeling betrayed. She was upset. She probably should have handled this differently, but, you know, she was upset. I guess when you have two people on steroids, ex-Marines, and already naturally have tempers, nothing good can come from that, right? And then you chuck cheating in there, like there's going to be a lot of emotion running around. I also read that she had been arrested previously for assaulting a mailman. Apparently her son said something to the mailman. The mailman told the son off and Sally went and attacked him, but that's just what I read. She even attacked one of Ray's lovers because apparently Ray had like a bunch of mistresses on the side. She attacked this lover at a bodybuilding show. She pinned her to the floor and she just beat on her repeatedly. Like, Sally is, you know, she's got those muscles. This woman wouldn't have stood a chance. Sally said that she wanted to mess up this woman's face so badly that her husband just wouldn't want her anymore. And the people that witnessed this assault said that Sally went nuts and she just kept on punching this woman's face with full force. They said it was like watching a man beat on another man. Remember, Sally was very strong from all the weightlifting. This woman, she wouldn't have stood a chance. She would have been a mess. So as punishment, the National Physique Committee ended up suspending Sally for a year, and it is thought that Sally also physically took out her anger on her husband because of his constant cheating. But still, just because someone's cheating on you, it doesn't mean you run around beating people up. That's not okay. We don't beat people up. It said that she pulled a gun on him, but the police were called and they ended up pepper spraying her. It said that this couple had some really explosive fights, like the neighbors heard it. And sorry, I keep moving my glasses because I'm losing weight and now my glasses are too loose. But yeah, anyway, I feel sad for the kids because they're there and they're witnessing all this. Then in 93, Sally was confronted by a club bouncer. So she was really drunk. She was up on the tables dancing. She wanted to have some fun, let loose. Once again, she's super drunk. She's on the tables. So in this drunk state and not wanting to do what the bouncer had told her, Sally ended up kicking him in the face 3 times with those muscly legs. Ow. So alcohol plus strong woman, possibly on steroids at the time, does not make a good combination. The police were called, and when they arrived, Sally was still she was really angry, and she actually threatened to kill the cops. Yeah, don't do that. That was not smart. Never threaten the cops. It will never end well. Then, on February the 14th, 1995, Sally was at home waiting for Ray. It was Valentine's Day. This is the day we're talking about. And she wanted to spend some time with her husband. She decided that she would go find him, and that because it was getting late, and that she would drop her children off to a neighbor on the way. So Sally starts to put her makeup on. She's getting ready, and that's when Ray walks in. He asked her why was she putting on makeup, and she said that she was actually getting ready to head out to look for him because she was going to go to this local bar that she assumed he might be at because it's Valentine's Day and she wants to be with her husband on Valentine's Day, which is fair enough. Anyway, it turned out that Ray was actually on a date with his mistress. So I got that information from reading a statement that his friend DJ made. So at this point, we only have Sally's version of events because obviously Ray didn't survive this night to tell his side of the story. We also have the kids' version, which is pretty much the same as their mums. The kids were actually hiding in their rooms when the fight began, and they only came out when things went quiet, so after the gunshots. Okay, so Sally says that she was about to go out to find Ray, but he turned up at home at 9:15 p.m. Sally claimed and maintains that she shot Ray in self-defense when he started to attack her. She said that he had roid rage, steroids, they call it roid rage, when steroids make you angry, and that he began to choke her. Apparently she had accused him on cheating and they got into an altercation, he started choking her. So the police transcript reads that Ray slapped her, pushed her down on the floor and started to choke her. Sally said that she got free. She ran into the bedroom and took her sawed-off shotgun out of its case in the closet. She said that she was fearing for hers and her kids' lives, and that she shot Ray twice, once in the abdomen and once in his jaw. She says that this is self-defense. Very possible. The problem I'm having is that the autopsy later said that the first shot was the one that killed him. Not immediately, but apparently he bled out. Sally said after the first shot that Ray kept coming at her, but the evidence doesn't suggest that, and police think that Ray was already down when Sally fired the second shot. So after she shot Ray, Sally called 911 and she told them, "I just shot my husband because he beat me up." The dispatcher asked if he was still alive and she said yes. Apparently he was actually still alive when the ambulance arrived, but he died soon after. On the call to the dispatcher, you can actually hear Sally's daughter, Shantina, crying and screaming in the background. It's really heartbreaking to hear, and knowing that she saw her stepdad that way, that's full on for anyone, let alone a child. Paul, Sally's son, said that when the kids left the house that he had to step over Ray's body to get out. He also said that he felt a sense of relief knowing that, Ray's down, he can't hurt them. It's so sad that these kids went through this madness, honestly. The kids, they were taken away. They went into care, but soon after, Sally's mum took them in. Sally appeared in front of a judge and her bail was set at $100,000. Out of loyalty, her bail was paid for by her wrestling clients and others from the muscle worship community. So in her 8 years of marriage, she claims that she was essayed and beaten enough to make her fear for her life. She even alleged her children were forced to watch abuse, which I believe. During her marriage to Ray, Sally participated in what she labelled a muscle prostitution in order to have the financial means to afford and support Ray's steroid use and his career. Apparently his career was deteriorating near the end. The muscle prostitution is exclaimed as a seemingly kink-filled activity which basically involved Sally dominating and wrestling men in hotel rooms. And it paid quite well. Sally provided detailed testimony of the physical harm that she had suffered at the hands of her husband, which resulted in numerous injuries, including 5 broken bones over the course of their marriage. Evidence arose during Sally's trial that questioned the validity of her story, including her body language during the initial police interview, the trajectory of the rounds fired into Ray, one of which must have been fired while he was on the floor. And the blood splatter on the living room lamp. In addition, no DNA of Sally's was actually found on Ray, which eliminated any forensic evidence to back up her story. So they're saying that he must not have strangled her because there's no DNA. But we both know that, they can get it wrong, because Ray was known to strangle her, and the kids said that she was being strangled. Shantina actually spoke in court about moments when she would hear her mum struggling to breathe, and she even testified during her mum's trial that she recalled her mum making distinctive, gurgling sounds before the shooting. So it sounded like her mum was being strangled. At the time of her mum's trial, Shantina was just 12 years old. I really feel for those kids. And the brother was 9. One piece of evidence is the DNA testing, which is usually the turning point of any case. In the case of Sally McNeil, none of her DNA was found on Ray, which effectively debunks her story of being beaten up and choked moments before she killed her husband. There's no doubt that Ray was abusive to her and to her kids, but if Sally had been beaten as much as she claimed on this particular evening, it is suggested that her DNA would be on Ray, on his hands. It's also curious that none was found. Did they wipe his hands? What's going on? I don't know. Evidence that was deemed admissible to the court included the cover to a video that she made in character as a wrestler. So in this picture, Sally is holding a shotgun, and they say that this is the same shotgun that she used to kill Ray. It didn't look good for her. Her defense said that this was not evidence, and yet it was probably one of the more damaging things that was presented to the jury. The trauma that she and her children had been through is just crazy. How you react in those situations, I don't know. The court had the attitude that Sally could not be a battered woman because she was muscular, strong, and ex-Marine. Ultimately, Sally's legal defense of so-called battered woman syndrome, now understood as a subset of post-traumatic stress disorder from intimate partner violence, did not work. So they didn't believe her. She ended up being convicted of second-degree murder in 1996, and she was sentenced to 19 years in prison. This meant that the jury believed that she intended to kill Ray, but did so unplanned and in the heat of the moment. Over the course of her stay in prison, Sally made numerous requests for parole on a variety of grounds, including improper jury instructions. The US Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned her conviction, though this was taken to the US Supreme Court by the state of California, which reversed the decision in 2004. That must have been really painful for her to, go through that. It's yay, oh. After numerous appeals on a variety of grounds, which resulted in the granting of a writ of habeas corpus, the state of California then appealed to the US Supreme Court, which reversed the Ninth Circuit ruling and demanded the case back to that same venue for further action. Relying on information and instructions from the SCOTUS opinion, the Ninth Circuit reconsidered this matter. And on March 29th, 2005, they issued their opinion ruling in favour of the state and reinstating Sally's original conviction. That would have sucked. That would have sucked so bad for Sally. So Sally McNeil served her sentence at the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla, California. Her parole was granted by the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation on May the 29th, 2020. She was released. And following her release, Sally got married So she met a guy called Norfleet Stewart, who she'd actually met through her Veterans Transition Center support group. Sally's currently living in Northern California, and she's in her 60s. Today, John and Shantina Loden are settled with their families and working in their respective careers. When their mum was in prison, John and Shantina had little contact with her. They lived 3,000 miles away from where she was incarcerated, and they would only see her approximately once or twice a year. As an adult, John served 5 combat tours in Afghanistan and suffered from PTSD. And he also went through drug addiction, which he has received treatment for. Of course he was going to have PTSD. I mean, look at what he went through as a kid. In recent years, John has been able to reconnect with his mum and his sister, and he actually walked his mum down the aisle when she married her new husband. Shantina pursued a degree in electric engineering, and she went on to join the US Army. She actually served for 16 years. Like her brother, she toured Afghanistan and also completed a tour of Iraq. She too suffered from PTSD. Yeah. It's so sad. So sad. So sad. Apparently she also was in a really abusive relationship. It's horrible. So since leaving the army, Shantina worked for an aerospace and defense technology company, and she now works as an IT network administrator for Defense Logistics Agency. All right, so that's that. Recap time. Let's go through this recap. Sally McNeil definitely did look like the type of woman who could hold her own. She did not look like the type to be a battered woman, right? Looks can be deceiving though, come on. She was a Marine. She was a heavily muscled woman, a physically strong woman, and a champion bodybuilder. She was the primary breadwinner for her family, and she subsidized her husband's bodybuilding career. She just didn't seem like the type, right? She wrestled men for money. She brawled with neighbors, police, and the woman that her husband was dating during their marriage. She used inappropriate language. Her effect in talking to police about shooting her husband was flat, matter of fact, with very few tears until she was told that her husband was actually dead. So that apparently that's when she got upset. She physically fought with her husband, often because of his infidelity, and all of this didn't help her battered woman self-defense claim in court. They just couldn't believe a woman like Sally could possibly be a battered woman. But none of that changes the fact that Ray McNeil battered his wife. And as strong as Sally was, Ray was much, much stronger and bigger. Military records show that Ray McNeil abused his wife. They have records. A witness testified to seeing bruises on Sally. Ray broke her nose, and Sally's daughter testified to hearing her mother being strangled the night that he was killed. Sally feared for her life. I believe that. She killed her husband because she feared for her life. Yes, she probably didn't need to take that second shot. That's where I'm like, one shot would have done it. Sally McNeil and thousands of people like her have been convicted of crimes related to their own victimization. Many survivors are convicted of killing their partners. Prosecutors, they regularly dismiss, belittle, or just straight out ignore criminalized survivors. These are victims. They are protecting themselves. They disregard evidence of abuse, and they insist that something other than abuse is the reason that they killed their partners. Possibly anger, jealousy, and greed. They seem unable to acknowledge that these survivors are victims of domestic abuse. These women are victims. Sometimes men. Women can beat on their husbands. Obviously, Sally did. Sally McNeil's defense was that she shot her husband to save her life. But jurors didn't believe that she had acted in self-defense, which is a common outcome for criminalized survivors. Self-defense actually requires that the person use only the amount of force necessary to protect themselves from an immediate or imminent threat to their life. Prosecutors argue, and jurors often find, that the amount of force used in Sally's case was too much. It doesn't help that a weapon was used, or they say that the threat to Sally wasn't going to be lethal. In the Sally McNeil trial, this is what happened. One juror in her trial said there was no imminent danger. She had just decided to end her husband's life. How would you know? Were you there? Just saying. Pisses me off. Was that juror male? Just asking. I'm not hating on guys, I'm just saying. So during her trial, a newscaster asked, is she a strong woman or a victim? What so many people refuse to see is that she can be both. She can be strong and a victim. And like other people who fail to conform to stereotypes about survivors or intimate partner violence, Sally McNeil paid dearly for that failure. The only way to ensure that criminalized survivors are no longer punished by the criminal legal system is to eliminate that system. But can you really see that happening? I do not. So in my opinion, at the end of this story, because this is the end now, I feel that, yes, Sally should have been given that, title as a beaten woman and served less time. But my issue that I have with this case is the fact that she shot twice. I know it was a heat of the moment kind of thing. It's a fight. Things are, the emotions are high. But for the court, that looked really bad. If she had have gone to court and maybe, she shot him once shot him once, grabbed her kids, got out of there, that could possibly pass. But she went back and reloaded and shot twice and said that he was coming at her when the evidence proved that he was already down when she shot twice. You can't debate science, like, I've seen the pictures. The evidence shows that he was down on the ground when he was shot at twice. So she shot him in the abdomen the first time, then she shot him in the face on the second time while he was already down. And also she was caught out in court for lying, saying that, he was coming at her. So that's also not good. At the end of the day, when Sally came into court, they saw this, muscular, strong, confident, ex-Marine woman who had a picture of her with the weapon. And they made up their minds pretty early on, I feel. Which is sad, because you can be all those things. Strong, independent, the breadwinner, blah, 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 and still be a battered woman. But Ray was probably also a battered husband. So they shouldn't have been together at all. Anyway, what are your guys' opinions on Sally McNeil's case? Apparently now, life is good. She's got her new husband. They're happy. The kids are all grown. They're happy. Everyone's happy. But Ray's not here anymore. I wonder, because I was watching a lot of their home videos, and Ray, he seemed like this really nice, kind guy. But even his friends would say, he's a gentle giant, he's a cool guy, blah, 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 blah. But if you rub him up the wrong way, he can lash out in a really bad way, like with that guy that he blinded. So was it just the steroids that made him angry, or did he already have a temper? I feel like both of them had tempers. It was just a really, really bad situation. They shouldn't have been together, honestly. I wish he had have maybe written a letter ending their marriage and just left it on the kitchen bench, and then like just took his stuff and left and went with his new woman and got the heck out of there. Because he was apparently nervous about telling Sally that he wanted to end their relationship for good reason. Yeah, but then there's that whole, the DNA wasn't found on his hands, but then the daughter said that she could hear her mum choking. But then is the daughter just sticking up for her mum because it's her mum? I don't know. We weren't there. We weren't there. The only people that were there are these people. We weren't there. We can only speculate what we think happened because of what we read and what we watch. We have Sally's version of events and her kid's version of events, and we have Ray's friend DJ saying that, you know, Ray was a good guy, but he did have a temper, but Sally also had a temper. Apparently on this particular night, DJ had rocked up to their apartment and Sally was trying to get him to stay. DJ was like, yeah, I'm just gonna pop down the road to get some food or whatever. And she was like, no, like stay. Like she was nervous. I could sense that she was nervous about being at home. But he left, and he said that he feels really bad. Like he feels like if he had have stayed, then maybe Ray wouldn't have been killed. But you can't blame yourself, DJ, honestly. You can't. These two were fireballs. It was a crazy, crazy situation. Anyway, what are your guys' opinions on Sally McNeil? Do you feel like she is a battered woman? If so, why? If not, why? I am interested. I've been actually working on this story for a week, so I've been watching all the videos, and they have lots of home videos. Like there's some really cute home videos. It's sad. It's really sad. You see the kids and, you know, they're loving on their stepdad, and you see Sally and Ray and they're all cuddling and kissing and whatnot. But then it's like, you know what happened behind closed doors, and it's just sad. It's sad. Okay, I hope everybody is well, and I'm gonna go now. I've got a bit of a headache. I think I need some Panadol. I hope everybody is having a wonderful morning, day, night, whatever it is where you are, and I will be talking to you later. If you have any case suggestions, let me know in the comment section. I usually reply to my comments. So, yeah. Okay, I'm out. Have a great day, guys. Bye.